Just making a dumpster fire. Hello, David. It's like the 18th time I had to redo this whole video because I keep scrapping it because I'm unsatisfied with it. Very much like this game. True Crimes. Streets of LA. Making sure that's what it's called.
They call it the City of Angels. Funny, in my 30 years here, I haven't seen a single one.
Alright. Right off the bat, that is indeed Christopher Walken as an old receptionist cop. Real interesting. But let's start with the thing you're gonna be staring at the most. The HUD. Top left, you got your health. If you're on foot, there'll also be your face right next to your health bar. If you're in a vehicle, it'll be a vehicle instead of your face. They'll also show you where it's taken the most damage so you can try to avoid just constantly slamming into other cars, repeatedly on the passenger side. Top middle will be the street you're currently on if you're out in the open world. Pretty neat, except for the fact the map really could use some work. Top right will be your opponent's health. It will also display how many bad guys are near you and, hostile towards you. If a crime is active while you're out in the open world, a line will appear underneath your health, which I'm pretty sure is actually to indicate how far away from the perps you are. I'm not really sure. It got kind of muddy. Bottom left, you got your mini-map. Red is enemies, green is missions, yellow icons are either health, parking, or vehicle repairs. You get the gist. Vehicle icons, on the other hand, are these in-world upgrade spots for vehicle maneuvers, fighting, or weapon upgrades. If you 100% a mission, you get an opportunity for a serious upgrade, as I'm pretty much calling it. Instead of teal icons, they'll be green. Vehicle upgrades are done in a street race, pretty much a racing for pinks. Fighting upgrade is a group fight of sorts. You're fighting luchadors, grapplers, it's weird. And the weapons is an obstacle course for a better pair of guns. Vehicles, you get a better car. Fighting, you get a special grapple. Weapons, you get a better gun. Honestly, do the cars and guns, skip the fighting. On the bottom right is your karma and cop experience. As you defeat and not kill enemies or criminals, your karma goes up. As you commit crimes or kill civilians, the mercury thermostat in between the two will fill red and cops will start to take you down. To replenish health, to repair your vehicle, and to attempt to get an upgrade, such as the teal ones, not the green ones, because the green ones are only for 100% mission completion, you spend some of your cop XP. I highly recommend getting all the weapon upgrades and to just get fighting upgrades until you get the stomp. Other than that, don't worry about it. You'll have 1,000 cop badges. It's fine. Now moving on to the story. The story is pretty cliche. Yeah, at first. You play as Nick Kang, a loose cannon detective that gets the job done but on his terms, coming back from a suspension. The chief is trying to get him back into the game with a promise that he can do it his own way, thus being introduced to the EOD, where he meets his new partner, Rosie. The two get to know each other at a restaurant, and we get the hint that Rosie used to be a criminal, and it doesn't matter. We have a crime story to tell, and there's no crime happening so far. Out of nowhere, as Nick and Rosie are getting to know each other, boom, 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 boom! Triads come into the shop and start shooting it up. You beat the thug, he attempts to escape, and Rosie gets shot. It doesn't matter. It's a one-player game. It's not a partner beat 'em up like friggin' some other game where you get a dog instead. Every chapter has this same kind of setup. You go to a place, something happens, you beat people up, they give you a lead, and just as you're going there, your enemy gets the upper hand. Something gets in the way. And it's a great way to raise the stakes in this open world kind of story, but it kind of gets played out. So, let's just hit the broad stroke, shall we? The Triad thug leads you up the chain to the leader of the Triads named Ancient Wu, which he seems to be a myth. You get the saddest backstory for Nick, figuring out that his mom died, his dad is missing, and they went to Hong Kong with his little brother. I think they go to his aunt's place. I don't really know. I'm not paying attention for that. It turns out that some of Ancient Wu's guys are actually working for Russian mobsters. As you interrupt one of the Triad and Russian mobsters' meetings, there's whispers of a dude named the General in town. He kind of just is name dropped and then doesn't show up until the end. So, It's a cool name. After this chapter, you get a sick, nasty story branch where a possible conclusion to the story is kind of rushed. This happens twice in the story. You get a poor, an average, and good ending. Poor and average get you 2 more chapters each and green bonus upgrades. But again, we're not trying to go for all of these. Yeah. Anyways. Main timeline story. Yada yada yada, Russians and Triads are working together for some reason. As Nick attacks the Russian HQ, the Triads attack Nick's brother's dojo. Don't worry, he doesn't matter that much because he's only mentioned like 3 times in the game. And he goes from is Nick's brother to was Nick's brother. Sad story. Loose Cannon goes full aggro at this point, and he assaults Ancient Wu's place. Turns out the dude is straight magic. There's no answers given to this. We just see him twice, and he's only more magical the next time we see him. When you show up and you're shooting up the place, you have to fight a zombie. And it doesn't tell you that you have to beat this dude into stoves. I found that out on accident. Thank God it happened, because if not, I was going to be there for 30 minutes just bashing my head up against a wall. And then you have to go into some catacomb stuff, and they're sending more zombies at you. And then when you finally find Ancient Wu, he sends his 2 concubines to fight you, and they're on fire. And then you have to also fight a dragon. What is happening? Please send help. After that little freak out, you find out the Russians are actually making counterfeit bills. And they are perfect counterfeit bills. And they're also using the Triads to launder this money. Thus, the insurance shakedown. But someone has paid the Russians to do this. Who could it be? Who could have been the mastermind behind this scheme? You may be wondering, is it that guy named the General? Well, yeah, it's the guy named General. And he's also the General for North Korea. Yeah, that's it. General Kim, from North Korea. They just wanted money. I don't know, man. They just drop it out of nowhere. He's also the first final boss and the first bad ending, so it kind of spoils the twist of the main story ending. But it's, it's a game. Gameplay. It's simple, but in a very satisfying way. It's challenging at first, because you kind of start the game out with just your fists, your dad's old car, and 2 shitty revolvers. But by the end of the game, you have 2 Decepticons for guns. They have scopes, laser sights, flashlights. You've been in so many fights at this point that you also know that spamming low kick is going to win you all of them. And you'll also have a Ferrari that hits harder than a semi-truck with the driver asleep behind the wheel. Bullets are also too fast to avoid, but also paradoxically too slow to be predictable. Also, pro tip, if you're doing any of the stealth missions, just give them a freaking karate chop right in the neck. It doesn't even matter if they spot you. You also get like an additional second before they raise the alarm. So just bum rush them and hit them in the neck. That's it. That's pretty much it. It's a lot. It's really complicated. I liked it. I didn't like the branching storylines because there's facts that get mixed up. So I don't remember what's actually part of the main story and what's a possible ending. But it was fun. What's the plan from this point forward? I don't know. Coast to coast crime stopping.